Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, the first one in a while, we're going to talk Godzilla x Kong. We are here. We have arrived. We are 2 days away for most of us, because I know a lot of you guys are going to go see it on Thursday, but technically 3 days away from the movie finally premiering. Everybody's excited. Everybody's at a fever pitch waiting for the next installment of the Monsterverse. And this video, we're going to kind of talk about the box office, but also right away, we're going to talk about some of the early short reviews that are coming in as people on social media over the last couple of hours have been sharing their experience with the movie. And I kind of wanted to go over that because so far, overall, seems pretty positive. There are some comments in there that are, not too crazy about the movie, and that's to be expected. Not everyone's going to love the movie, but we're going to go over some of these comments that have been going on Twitter. So first one here is by someone named Michael Lee, and he says, Godzilla x Kong is a noisy Titan brawl with hardly any human heart to engage us on an emotional level, but audiences coming for the fights alone are getting a supremely awesome tag team match between Godzilla and Kong versus Scar King and Shimo. So that's pretty decent. Next one is by someone named Aaron Neuwirth. Godzilla x Kong hits plenty of sweet spots for me, tons of wild kaiju action, a brutal villain for Kong, a powered up Godzilla. I don't believe that brutal part, I gotta be honest. But I'll just keep reading. A powered up Godzilla, Dan Stevens having a blast, some legit surprises, and so many colors. Bring me more Monsterverse. Not bad. So this one's from Ian Sandwell. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire is the most enjoyable Monsterverse movie yet. The one where it feels everybody understood the assignment. Story is a bit thin, but the Titan smashing more than makes up for it. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire rules. This one's by Andrew J. Salazar. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire rules. Director Adam Wingard fully embraces the tone of fantasy rock opera, complete with a synth-heavy score, heavy metal visuals, a killer 80s needle drop. Incredibly silly and heartfelt at times, it's a sincere love letter to the Showa era, which we all pretty much predicted. Beans, that's the name of this account. Godzilla x Kong is non-stop fun kaiju action that fans of most movies love. Both Godzilla and Kong take center stage in this latest entry in the Legendary's evolving Monsterverse. Brian Tyree Henry and Dan Stevens are fun together, but this movie belongs to the monsters. Very good. Heroes Unbound tweets Godzilla or X's. Godzilla x Kong is an absurdly fun ride, a teaming of titans with tremendous scale and a fast-paced adventure. This movie knows to deliver pure fun on a huge scale. My advice, just strap in and enjoy the ride. Sounds like good advice. Tessa Smith tweets, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire suffers from an extremely slow start due to lack of dialogue, which is more cheesy than entertaining. When Titans go toe-to-toe, the action is incredible, but that's not enough. Looks pretty, but unfortunately misses more than it hits. So there you go. Someone that's a little bit more lukewarm to the movie. Godzilla x Kong is a really great King Kong movie. The human stuff is notably clunky. Poor Rebecca Hall saddled with so much dry exposition. But Kong has so many scenes centered on him, and I just love the big guy. And the final fight sequences are pure monster mayhem delight. So there you go. There you go. This one's tweeted by Emmanuel Noisset. Godzilla x Kong was more fun than I expected. I was happy to see Kong get more respect. Wonder what he means by that. It was nice to see more monsters and less annoying humans. The battles were cool but corny, and the science got a little too nerdy. Felt like Christopher Nolan and WWE made a monster movie. That's not exactly a bad thing, in my opinion. But Jermaine Lucier, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire is underwhelming. It feels like 90% set up for a final battle that's solid but can't live up to all that buildup. There is a fresh approach to the characters which works, but it never quite gets the main story. Dan Stevens does rip though. So okay, there's another lukewarm thought on the movie. Griffin Schiller, Godzilla X Kong is an atomic blast, a fantastically weird psychedelic trip through the Showa era with all the vibrance of an 80s album cover. This thing is an absurdist romp. Crimson Apes, Frost Dragons, a delightfully absurd Dan Stevens, another fun entry in the Monsterverse. Shannon, Godzilla X Kong is a momentous spectacle that dazzles with a vibrant technicolor visuals. The epic battles between the Titans are jaw-dropping and are accompanied by a story with a gargantuan heart. Plus, there's Dan Stevens flexing in a Hawaiian shirt for 2 hours. Okay, looks like Dan Stevens was a big hit among some of the audience members. Ricardo, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire wasn't able to hit as hard as the first film. Fight scenes were not as exciting. Human plot lines were even worse and uninteresting. Not a terrible movie, but a downgrade. Final act was fun though. Check out. Okay. So, for the most part, it sounds like most people enjoyed the film. It doesn't sound like it's a complete disaster, which is good. That's a good thing, right? We don't want a disaster. We want a good film. So that's good to hear that so far, for the most part, people seem to be enjoying the movie. And the key theme, the key word there is fun. This is something that really, that's all I want. I don't expect a story. I've never expected a story, especially after what we got in Godzilla vs. Kong. That was just a romp. Story was very minimal. And same thing here. It looks like they're going with the same formula. Center the movie around Kong, so that way you can kind of grab the audience with him. He always has been established as a creature with some intelligence, some form of ways to communicate with humans, and he is used as a catalyst to kind of communicate with the audience, to bring the audience closer in with the Titans. I think it's a smart choice because monsters like Godzilla and Rodan and Ghidorah were never ever established that way. They are just monsters that have no regard for humans. They don't care one way or the other, whether they're villains or not. It doesn't matter. They've never had a way of communicating with the audience, and that's one of the downfalls, where Kong is a good character to use as a catalyst to connect with the humans, to connect with the audience. That way you have at least a better chance of immersing them in at least, if nothing else, the monsters. The humans, these guys are not dumb. They know that people, for the most part, are not there to see the human story. People have been complaining about human characters for years in the Monsterverse, and now the last two movies has finally answered that call and have just given you monster action. And it sounds like this movie, they focus more on the monsters than ever before. So, again, it's not going to satisfy everybody. There are some Godzilla fans out there that want something along the lines of -1. You know, those great hit serious kaiju movies, those are tough to make, and you're only going to get those once in a while. And people always wonder why, and it's just because when your main character is the monster, it's hard to make a story that will have the audience connect with a character that doesn't even really talk. This one of the, the real reason -1 was so good was not even because of Godzilla. It was a strong story with strong characters, and Godzilla was kind of like the cause and effect monster in the whole movie. A lot of people argue, and I'm one of them, that if you even took Godzilla out the movie, it'd still be a good movie. So, but over here, Godzilla's always been seen as an action, adventure, fantasy kind of thing. Same thing with Kong to a certain extent. And I just don't think a lot of audiences have the patience for, especially when you're investing so much money in these movies like Legendary is. These movies here are not costing $10-15 million like -1. When you invest something over $100 million into your budget, or $135 million into your budget, you gotta be able to grab multiple types of audiences to generate the kind of revenue that you need to make up for the cost of your film. And you're just not gonna do that with like a -1 film. As good as -1 did, Let's keep in mind it made $100 million, but that was in multiple markets over the course of a couple of weeks. A movie like this needs to do pretty much $100 million its first weekend. And I'll use that as a segue into this next one, which is Godzilla x Kong will bunny hop. Oh, sorry. I'll show that here. I clicked the wrong button. Godzilla x Kong will bunny hop to 135 million global opening as Legendary's MonsterVerse franchise roars past 2 billion, the Easter box office preview. So looks like they're predicting that in the States, it's probably going to do around, I already kind of read this article, so I'm just going to kind of skim through it. But basically what they're saying is they feel like the movie may do about $50 million here and about another 80 or so plus overseas. That seems feasible. It's a decent start to what you want. Like, we briefly talked about predictions this past week in the stream, and what I will say is this. I think worst case scenario, the floor is about 35 to 40 million. And I think best case scenario, your ceiling's probably about 55 million. The point is, though, is that this movie, because of all the assets they're reusing, they were able to save a lot of money. In fact, I read that the actual budget of this film was about $160 million. And when you throw in the budget and then you do that baseline formula of what the marketing costs and things like that, the movie only really realistically needs to make about $470 million to make a profit. That's not bad. That I think is doable for this movie. So, you know, in terms of whether or not it makes that much, I mean, pretty much like this. If it makes that much money, you're going to get another movie. And if it doesn't, then the question's in the air. Then you have to wonder. Obviously, Adam Wingard did mention that he has ideas for another movie, so obviously there's more content there that they could make if they want, but money talks. And that's one thing about this franchise is that it was never really planned like Marvel. They don't plan these movies way in advance because they really don't know how long they're going to be able to do this for. There have been statistics showing that the MonsterVerse does have diminishing effects going forward, so every movie has gotten less and less at the box office domestically. But when you consider that they're reusing assets for every movie, and when I say reuse assets, what I mean is they save on time and manpower money. So you get monsters like Godzilla, you get monsters like Kong, right? If they're in every movie, you don't have to recreate them. You might have to make some minor adjustments, things like that, but you don't have to recreate them. You don't need the manpower or the render time to build a new Godzilla from the ground up. Same thing with some of the other monsters. Like, you know, it's no surprise now. Everybody knows he's fighting Skilla. It's in the trailer. Skilla's been in there since King of the Monsters. So they take the asset, they make some minor changes for the fight scene, maybe to his color palette. A lot less time spent doing that than actually creating a new monster from the ground up. Obviously, Shimo might have been an idea that they had before. It might have even been a monster that they had plans for before. They never used it. Didn't make it to the a certain movie, maybe King of the Monsters, maybe Godzilla vs. Kong. But they had the asset there. They bring the asset in, they touch it up, and they use it as a new villain. This is probably one of the reasons why you're still not getting you know, with the exception of obviously Mechagodzilla in the last movie, you're still not getting a whole lot of Toho monsters because those are assets that need to be recreated. And even Mechagodzilla probably didn't cost them that much because they used them for maybe a total of maybe 3 minutes in Godzilla vs. Kong. So that was something that probably didn't take very long to make and was something that they just use as a way to kind of bring Godzilla and Kong together at the end of that movie. So this is why, even though the movies seem bigger and bigger, they're actually getting cheaper to make. So that's another reason why, you know, as much as we all want Destroyer, if we never see another Toho movie again, that's why. A Toho monster again, that's why. It's because it costs money not only to borrow the monster from Toho, but then you got to create it from the ground up. You got to hire artists. You got to hire, you know, a new, you know, you have to draw concept art. Everybody gets involved. There's like 5 to 10 different concept art. One's chosen. They make a model of it. Then they start rendering it. Then they start. So all that costs money. They don't need to. They haven't really needed to do that lately. That's why these movies haven't been that expensive to make. So while I still think there's an outside chance we'll get at least Destroyer and probably their final MonsterVerse movie. If we never get a Toho monster again, that's why. It's more expensive, and they know that the amount of money they can make on these movies is very limited. These are not billion-dollar box office movies. These movies will barely crack 500 million at this point. So they need to keep their costs to a minimum if they hope to not only to make a profit. So that's that. So, but anyway, so looks like the early word is off to a good start. Looks like it looks like the $470 million box office number is probably attainable. And that's good news for you guys who care about that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, that's it for this video. We will be live streaming tomorrow, sometime between 6 and 8 at night. So be here for that. We're going to do our little pre-movie excitement. We're going to talk more, things like that. If you don't want to be spoiled, my suggestion is stay off the internet. The big spoilers haven't dropped yet, but I'm assuming within the next 24 hours, you're going to start seeing stuff dropping on the internet because the movie is debuting in certain parts overseas. I believe tomorrow for us, but I think it's actually happening tonight as we speak. So just a fair warning. And then Friday we will stream. We're not going to talk too much about the movie in and of itself in terms of details or story plot. In other words, no spoilers. We'll talk about the movie, but no spoilers. But Saturday is going to be the big stream. A lot of you guys voted. We're going to be having a Godzilla x Kong themed feast that I'm going to be cooking that chat voted on this past weekend. There's going to be, so the menu's brisket, rice, cabbage, cake for dessert, and an alcoholic beverage. So I'm going to be whipping that up. I will be recording the process, and I will be having that meal. I don't know what you guys are going to eat for the stream, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's it for this video. I'm going to be seeing the movie Thursday night at 6. So I will do a video review Thursday night, but I will not be streaming Thursday night. And then Friday we will stream, and then we'll go from there and see how this movie does. And hopefully it does well enough to get another one. But always be prepared that this is the end. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I'll see you all throughout the week. And for those of you who are going to go see the movie, if I don't talk to you before then, I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say about the movie and what you think about it. That's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.